still a lot of you guys here. I thought it was going to be like 4 people right in the front. You guys set up down here. I was like, that's it. The Australians, that's all I need. So on your program, it says that this is going to be the blessing of the hands. And I didn't know that until yesterday. Because that's how I roll. And I said to Julie, so talk to me about this blessing of the hands thing. She's like, I don't know that. So what I decided is that, like, actually your hands are already blessed. You don't need me or anyone else to do that. That's part of what brought you here. Your hands were blessed when they clicked your registration button to bring you to this conference. And they'll be blessed when you leave. So who am I to bless your hands? Let's just recognize that your hands are blessed. And I also want to recognize that some of you are here, well, we're all here over Passover, but for some of us that's actually personally significant. And I just wanted to say that hopefully where we're headed here in this brief little leading you out address is toward freedom and toward what happens when we're all honest and see where it is that we can contribute. So yeah, that's what I know. So anybody ever do this? Yeah. Okay. So I want you to stand up, if you don't mind.
Oh, God. You stand up.
And you might want to grab the front of the chair in front of you because I'm going to have you now close your eyes. Just hang out for a second. Feel your bodies, feel yourselves in this room. Just quiet the chatter for a second. And just think about yourself when you're lying in your bed in the morning. And the alarm is about to go off and maybe you beat it to the punch and you're awake and waiting for it to go off, or maybe it wakes you up. So you're lying there in your bed and that sometimes what feels like just a moment before you decide to actually get out of bed. And let's think about what happens for you in that moment. Why are you getting out of bed? So what I'm going to have you do is I'm going to suggest a couple of scenarios. And if the scenario I suggest doesn't resonate for you, this doesn't make sense, if this isn't part of why you get out of bed, you can feel free to sit down. Your eyes are closed, everyone else's eyes are closed. Nobody is going to judge you for sitting down. And if they do, that's their business. So if you get out of bed, or rather, if the idea of anyone affected by cancer, knowing about Oncology Massage and having resources to refer to or to know where to find it locally has nothing to do with why you get out of bed, you can sit down. If living in a world where people who want Oncology Massage can get it, doesn't matter to you at all, you can sit down. If living in a world where Oncology Massage therapists feel supported, respected, challenged, educated, and prepared is not important to you, you can sit down. If living in a world where other allied health professionals look to the Society for Oncology Massage, to this community as a resource and authority about Oncology Massage is not important to you, please sit down. And finally, if you don't believe that every single person in this room and every single person on the planet, for that matter, is doing their absolute best, you can sit down. Okay, open your eyes so that you can safely sit down together. So like MK said, we're all here to hang out and network, and all of you now have a more expanded family than you had maybe when you arrived, and you've made friends in your local community and maybe far across the world, and that is part of what we're here for. And at the end of the day, I think it's easy for us to forget that this is really why we're all here, and that we're all working to do this. We're all working in different ways and in different parts of the world, and that we're at an important crossroads as a community and certainly as an organization, where we're getting big enough that ideas are getting scary. And certain people having certain ideas is scary to other people, and other people think that their ideas should be the ideas. But there's so many ideas that I think we're at a cool place where we can do some different things with those ideas. So how do we get to the world where all those things are happening and where we all remember every day that that's what's important and that we're all working toward that? So I want to just help you pack for this trip that we're going to take together to make a world where Oncology Massage and Oncology Massage therapists are supported and happening and available. And here are some things you will not need. So it's really, really easy for us to become what my good friend Tracy Walton calls precious, and to believe ourselves to be curing cancer with what we're doing, and to believe that our way of doing it in our own private treatment rooms is the way to do whatever it is that we're doing, and that the way we're teaching it in our classrooms is the way to teach it, and that we deserve to be wearing a cape because we are saving the world. And while you can believe that in your heart, there's no need to wear a cape because every person everywhere in the world is doing something to make things different, to make things better for whomever. So we're all in this room together and in this world and in this community together to work toward something specific related to oncology massage. So either we all get capes or nobody gets a cape. So you guys decide. I'm not involved in the fashion aspect of that, but it's important to notice that. The other thing that we often do is that as things grow and as more and more people gain awareness about oncology massage, there's so many more people doing it wrong. And so we take our love and we take our energy and we take our time and we spend it policing the people who aren't doing it the way we want them to do it. What if instead of appointing ourselves as the deputy sheriff all over the planet, we just show the way to do it by doing it right? By doing it the way that's important to us, by doing it the way that we know is providing results and support for the people that we work with. And if we can also acknowledge that everybody's doing it a little bit differently, and for the most part, those people are leaving our treatment rooms a little better, a little different, a little softer, a little more ease in their lives. With all these different approaches, this is actually possible. No one is giving the exact same massage, and everything is still okay. So who's our competition? Whether we're educators, whether we're massage therapists out there, whether we're in hospitals, who are we in competition with? Somebody said ourselves? Maybe, but we're always in competition with ourselves. Cancer! That's actually our competition. Cancer treatment could be argued, but they go together. So this is amazing because it means that we have an amazingly huge market to work in. And our challenge is unlikely to disappear, so that is going to continue to push us forward, to do things better, and to do things together. Cancer is enormous. It affects people all over the planet. There is no shortage of work to do. Why do we want to waste our time figuring out who's going to do it the right way, when we can come together and figure out a bigger, broader way to do it, and to support everybody in their different ways of doing things? Certainly we have to establish standards, and that's part of the conversation. And I think we have to keep in mind that the competition here is not other educators, it's not other practitioners, it's not other hospitals or hospital systems or insurance or the government or the Affordable Care Act or any of those things. It's cancer. Because when you got out of bed, remember, none of those things were about beating out the guy down the street. They were about helping life to be a little bit easier for people who are living with cancer and making it an actual career path for people who want to do oncology massage, to be able to do that. So, in order to come from a place of generosity and collaboration, I think we have to, as a community, step back. There's a lot of momentum sort of pulling us forward and creating this sense of urgency that things have to get done and they have to get done now. And, we have an opportunity to actually listen to each other in this broad conversation that allows different opinions and allows different suggestions and ideas. And in order to do that, we have to be pretty receptive and fearlessly so, meaning that we are willing to hear all the different voices without an attachment, at least in the conversation phase, to what that outcome is going to be, so that the conversation can be as open as it needs to be for us to really create a new path. Yes, we can look to nursing, we can look to PTs and OTs and other professional spheres that have kind of walked this road before, but none of them are us. We can learn from them and we can also create our own path. So I want to practice a couple things. I want you guys to say some things together with me. I don't know.
I don't know.
Brilliant, I'm totally convinced. Maybe.
Maybe.
I've never thought of that.
I've never thought of that.
This one's a little bit longer, but I know you guys can do it. I could not dislike that idea any more than I do. Help me understand. Should we practice that one again? Hold on,
Yeah.
I could not dislike that idea any more than I do. We'll do that part first.
I cannot dislike that idea any more than I do.
Help me understand.
Help me understand.
Let's just assume that everybody we're working with wants the best for people with cancer, for hospitals, for Oncology Massage. So when some crazy person like Tracy Walton suggests that we should have a clinic where we don't touch people who actually have a cancer history, we all go, well, I love the heck out of Tracy Walton. She's one of the smartest people I know. If anybody could do that, Tracy could do it. Well, let's see what happens. I could not dislike that idea any more than I do. It's not possible. I've talked at length with Tracy Walton about this. However, she is one of the smartest people I know and one of the most dedicated and passionate and committed people in oncology massage, who wakes up every day and in fact doesn't go to bed at night because people with cancer are not able to get massage. So let's have those hard conversations where we go, wow, this is like the worst idea I've ever heard. But it came out of your brain and your heart, and I know there's merit in there. So let's just walk me back to the beginning and help me understand how to get to that place. So if you can't read this, it says, objection, counselor is leading the witness. So I think what we're doing, we have a couple of big issues facing our community, and I've just chosen two of them. And one of them, for those of you who weren't here for the Educators Forum at the beginning of the week, all of the recognized education providers who are recognized by S4OM, as well as a bunch of other people who are really interested in oncology massage education, gathered, 60 plus people, to talk about the issues facing our education community. And one of them, as I just alluded to, is that the idea is that when you take your very first oncology massage course that is sanctioned by S4OM, one essential component of that is what we've been calling historically a live or traditional clinic, where at the end of the course, people who actually have cancer, have a history of cancer, come in and receive massage from the people who took the course. And Tracy Walton and her team are looking at different reasons why maybe scripting those and having the students role play could be a way to do that. And so we had a big conversation about that. And there are lots of questions coming up for people about that, and lots of things happening in our bodies and our hearts about what happens if that doesn't happen. And then the other piece is that as a community, there seems to be a push for us to go toward a specialty certification for oncology massage. So these are big questions that we're dealing with, and that there's sort of a momentum behind that can easily sort of trump over important questions. So what I think we need to do is be curious and not begin these things thinking that we know the answer. You know, we talk a lot about research in our community, but I think we often go into research thinking that we know what the result is going to be, and almost designing our studies to lead us to the place that will prove what we already believe. Because it's just too scary to actually ask a question and wait to see if it actually shows us what we think it's going to show us. So the thing that we're not great at is sitting still when the thing that we believe and that we're so passionate about doesn't bear out when we actually ask the question and wait for the answer to come. So we have to remember that expertise is actually a challenge to honest inquiry. And one thing that we're really great, and maybe this is a double-edged sword, at doing is being, especially I think in this community, being deferential to people who have been in the community for a really long time. The problem is that these newer voices who aren't steeped in the history of how we got here are a really important part of the conversation if we're going to do pure, true scientific research that allows real answers to these questions to emerge. New voices who don't have that history really need to check in and really need to, as MK was saying, volunteer, get involved in this conversation and really show up and say what you want to see happen. So if we're talking about certification, these are just some of the questions. If we're going to be getting a specialty certification, basically the wisdom is that consumers drive the demand for that. In my experience, oncology massage continues to be the best kept secret. We know about it. Nobody who needs it knows about it. And you find this when you go out in the world, that people are like, oncology massage, what's that? And they're, you know, a stage 4 cancer survivor sitting in the infusion chair. And you're like, oncology massage, how do you not know what this is? So if consumers don't know to ask for it, it leads to all these other questions. Do we as a community really understand what certification entails and requires? It's not a one-time thing. It means that you have to continue to get education and experience and continue to prove that you're engaged with this practice. Is that what we want to do? Do we want to put the money up as individuals to pay for certification, as well as an organization to partner with somebody to make this happen? We're talking about partnering with the National Certification Board to make this happen. Are they the best partner? They're the only available partner. So maybe they're the best. I don't actually know the answer to that, but we need to ask those questions and really get critical about these issues so that we're not just being swept in by the momentum. And when we look at the clinic-specific question, these are some of the questions that we can be asking. And as you read the list, things are happening in your body and in your mind, and you're saying, yes, of course you have to touch somebody with cancer, and how could you possibly learn how to do this if you didn't do that? And all these different things that are based on, a lot of times, what we feel, which is a really important tool in how we do our work every day. And when we're talking about making critical strategic decisions about our community, can only be one of the tools that we need to bring this curiosity and this criticality to really ask these questions and be able to have uncomfortable conversations where we say, wow, I wish I wasn't having this conversation, but let's keep having it. So, part of the problem, specifically, not that any of you have ever done this, I'm sure you haven't. Specifically, when we look at the certification question, you can see from just the couple of questions I listed, and I made them disappear because that's just the tip of the question iceberg around this issue, is that we need to educate consumers so that we can create a demand. We need to educate massage therapists who don't know they need this training. We need to create a community big enough so that there's actually a need for certification. So what do we do first? We have to kind of do it all at the same time, but who wants to do what part of it? So we're chasing our tails right now. You start the conversation, somebody says, well, we need consumers to know. Well, right, but we need massage therapists to know. Well, we need more educators. Yes, we need all those things, and they're all little holes in the boat. So which hole are you going to put your foot over, and what's going to be important to you? Because they're going to have to happen at the same time. And the fact that the task gets bigger as you ask more questions has the temptation to make you go, you know what, I'm good, I'll see you at the bar. So we have to do this together so that we can all commit to what's going to happen and where we're going to go. So looking at all those questions, is anybody excited about what I'm suggesting here? So at the risk of killing your buzz, let's just sit with ourselves for a minute and see if what we're excited about is proving that what we think the answers to those questions are is true. What we need to do is step back and get excited about the questions themselves and to continue to check each other, because we get so excited. It was exciting and horrifying to see what happened in the conversation with the educators, because we all have these great ideas about how clinics should run and how the courses should run. And then we get ahead of ourselves and we realize that we don't even know what kind of questions we should be asking. So we have to work together to make sure that we're asking the right questions and that we're not leading the witness, that we're not asking questions that will lead us to what we've already done, what we've always done, what everybody thinks should happen. We have an opportunity to ask open questions and to really just let things play out. I'm so excited that this is going to happen for the next year. Tracy and her crazy people are going to do these clinics without people who have cancer. And I am honestly so looking forward to seeing at the end of the year. Doesn't matter. It doesn't matter if you see people with cancer or without. I hope that's what happens, because we need more ways to get this done. We need more ways to be able to reach people. And we can't do that if we don't come from that place of fearless receptivity. So this is the double-edged sword of being us. We come to this work for and with all of these reasons. We're passionate, we're committed. We come to this with a sense of justice. At the end of the day, we're advocates and we're activists, and we want the world to be a better place. And we assume that we're the best person to do that. And if the person next to us is wearing a different kind of outfit and they're trying to change the world in a different way, we say, oh, that's going to ruin my world-changing thing. and probably it's not. And you're going to waste your time and love trying to get them to change it the way you want, when at the end of the day, we're all going to come to a place that just looks different than the place that we're at now. And we can only do that if we continue to actually use the bright side of these things that bring us to this work. And if we continue to come to each other and to ourselves with kindness, and we continue to work in that way. So we can do this differently. You see very commonly that as communities grow, sort of little factions split and you sort of see different philosophical ideas. And they actually split off into separate organizations and separate ways of teaching and separate ways of doing things. What if the oncology massage community could actually be maybe one of the first communities in the world, in the history of the world, to not do that? To make an umbrella big enough to say, yeah, if you want to do it this way, you go work with these guys. We love them and we take their classes. You might also find it fun to go over and work with these people. And the healthcare system in this country is totally different than this country, so it would make sense for you to go and see how that works. And then we all continue to learn from each other. And rather than feel threatened or made small by someone else having success in an area where I've struggled, I know that this is actually the hugest fraternity and sorority ever. And I can just call you up and be like, hey, remember we met at the summit? I haven't talked to you in 3 years, but can you give me 5 minutes to chat about whatever? And that we'd all feel comfortable doing that. And that we know that at the end of the day, what happens when we do that? More people with cancer get massage. That is why you got out of bed. That's what this is all about. We have to remember that that is the point of this. And the reason it's hard to do is because it involves being vulnerable. It involves not being the smartest person in the room. It involves not leading with your resume. It involves not listing all the hospitals where you work and just saying, we're making this up as we go along, which is exciting and horrifying. But really, this specialty is not that old. We're all making it up as we go along. Gail McDonald, I'm sorry she's not here because she would probably be nodding going, yep, making it up as I go along. 20 years is not that long for all of us to be doing this. So we are all making it up. And if we all talk about what we're doing to make it up, it's just gonna be more fun. I mean, I'm sold on the fun. I mean, yeah, it's gonna get more massage for people with cancer, but don't you wanna really love what you do and love the other people who do it? So I think that's possible for us. So that's it in a nutshell. I hope that you guys keep your business cards and phone numbers and relationships that you've built here and feel comfortable calling each other and really having uncomfortable and comfortable and exciting and synergistic conversations. And blessed be your hands.